This is Southern Gospel Now. I'm Greg Goodman with your weekly look at some of the goings-on in Southern Gospel music. It's brought to you by Daywind.com, where you'll find a large selection of Southern Gospel music and soundtracks. We have exciting news from Grant Gibson of Karen-Peck and New River.
We do, yeah. August 23rd, my wife and I were expecting again another little boy. I think it's the first time I've actually said this, but his name's going to be Harrison Scott Gibson. We're really excited.
I'm so happy for Susanna and Grant. Joseph Habedank just put out his new project, Autobiography. Joseph talks about how this project is different from anything he has released to date.
You know, I think this album is different in a lot of different ways, but the biggest way is that the production is totally different. I worked with Wayne Hahn for almost 20 years, did a mainline album with Ricky Free, my first ever solo album, but besides that, those are the only two producers that I've ever used. Lindsay produced a few table projects, Hymns album, Christmas album, but you know, really I've worked with Wayne for 2 decades, and he was kind of encouraging me to explore musically, and I had kind of had his blessing to do that. And so I heard a song called Rise Up Lazarus by a band named Kane, a Christian artist, and I loved the production, and I literally went and found out who produced it. His name is Nick Schwartz, and asked him if he would produce my record, and he produced 8 of the 10 songs on the album.
Chosen Road just achieved a major marker of success. Jonathan Buckner reacts to the group getting the #1 Bluegrass Album of the Week on the Billboard Bluegrass Albums chart.
We all just want to say thank you from everybody in the band. We just want to say a heartfelt thank you for supporting our music, buying it, ordering it online, coming out to live shows and seeing us. We're truly humbled and grateful for the support that all of you all show us. We were completely surprised and thankful with the #1 album this week. It never gets old. It came out last summer, I guess. All these months later, to see it come back on Billboard's Bluegrass Album chart, we just want to say thank you all.
Greater Vision is one of many groups that has been in the studio working on new music. Here's a bit of a recent studio session with Trey Ivy conducting the strings and woodwinds for a new song. The National Quartet Convention is looking forward to a big event this year. They've already announced a new sponsor, a return to a center stage or main stage configuration, and now a Bill Gaither finale. NQC Executive Vice President Clark Beasley.
You know, it's hard to believe, but it's been 6 years since Bill Gaither has been at NQC, and we are very much looking forward to him coming back. And this presentation that he's going to be making at NQC is very unique. It's not something he does often in very many places, but he's going to be producing a finale that will feature several of the artists that you see on the Homecoming specials. But he's going to be talking about how he was inspired to write many of his classic songs, and then they're going to be performed by several of those artists. So it's, like I say, it's very unique. It's something he doesn't do very often, but it is going to be the grand finale of NQC this year. And I can't tell you how excited we are about it.
The current hit from the Guardians is Heaven is Happening. One line in the song talks about a neighbor reaching out to a need. Pat Barker has a story that goes great with that line.
His name was Leroy. I had just moved into the house, first house I'd ever bought. He came up and introduced himself and asked me if he could use some of my land for his garden. I was fine with that. A few months had passed, and to be honest, times had gotten pretty difficult. It was even tough to keep food in the pantry and in the refrigerator. I looked out the back window and I prayed that God would help me, that he would help me to provide for my wife and our new child. And as God does, he answered that prayer through my neighbor, Leroy, who came with a bag filled with tomatoes and onions and squash and corn. And I've never enjoyed a vegetable plate more than I did that one. It was a neighbor reaching out to a need, and that, my friend, is heaven on earth.
If up-and-coming artists are looking for some advice from a Southern gospel mainstay, Mark Trammell offers these thoughts.
If you're going to be something, be that. Don't change with the wind. If you're going to do a particular thing, a particular style, yeah, you can push the envelope a little bit, but you need to continue being who you are and what you are. Don't change. Stay what you are. People get accustomed to that.
Zane and Donna King's current song is a feel-good tune titled Front Porch Sittin'. Donna shares what they had in mind.
We just hope this song reminds people that it's just a precious gift to take in all that God has created, even from a simple thing like a front porch seat, a front porch swing, a rocking chair, to sit with a family member, a friend, and talk about life and the goodness of God. And we hope that's what this song brings everyone's heart to, is just to think about who God is in our lives and how good He is.
I recently interviewed Scotty Inman and asked him what sets him apart from the many talented male vocalists in Southern gospel music.
You know, honestly, I don't know what's different. That's probably for somebody else to answer. I would like to think that my music is as authentic as it can be, that I'm true to myself, and the things I sing about are what I'm dealing with in everyday life and what I've learned in my life, and maybe I can help somebody else. So I hope one thing that separates me is just that I'm as authentic as I can be.
Time for a look at the top songs in Southern gospel music this week from the Power 50 chart.
Number 5.
When They Call My Name, Mark Trammell Quartet.
When they call my name.
Number 4.
Meet Me at the Cross, Brian Free and Assurance.
Meet me at the cross.
Number 3.
Grace Will Lead You Home, Peach Goldman.
Grace will lead you home.
Number 2.
There's a Song for That, Down East Boys.
And there's a song for that.
Number 1.
Heaven is Happening, from The Guardians.
Heaven is happening here on earth.
That's our report for this week. If you missed any of our 153 episodes, you can go back and check them out wherever you find podcasts or at southerngospelnow.com. Southern Gospel Now is brought to you in part by southerngospelprizes.com. Currently, you can register to win prize packs from Southbound, Authentic Unlimited, and 11th Hour. Details at southerngospelprizes.com. I'm Greg Goodman. Thank you so much for listening. Love your neighbor, and I'll see you next week with another edition of Southern Gospel Now.